Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
It's 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. 30 years ago today is the date of the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, and I wanted to remember it a little bit this morning. The recollections that I have is that it was very, very cold out. Freezing, as a matter of fact, and so let's kind of share some of that. Before we do that, let me play the news. I had to edit it a little bit, only for the interest of time. But I think this was from CBS. This is the news from that morning of January 28th, 1986, 30 years ago. Here it is.
Let's go down to the Kennedy Space Center and take a look at Challenger sitting on the pad.
9, 8, 7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Velocity 2,257 feet per second. Altitude 4.3 nautical miles, downrange distance 3 nautical miles.
So the 25th Space Shuttle mission is now on the way after more delays than NASA cares to count. This morning it looked as though they were not going to be able to get off.
1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Looks like a couple of the solid rocket boosters blew away from the side of the shuttle.
That's not what happened.
An explosion.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
We're awaiting word. They're holding their breath, just, I'm sure, as everyone else is. In the center of the fire and the smoke, you can't see any form of what was once the shuttle. You saw it just a few moments ago, about 45 seconds after liftoff, a huge fireball in the sky.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Flight director confirms that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point.
There you go. It was from 30 years ago. This morning, it was, my recollections were that it was very cold. It was freezing cold. I was a big space shuttle. I'm still a big space fan, and this comes up a lot of times. It has something to do with our age, I guess, because we grew up in the day of John Kennedy making the announcement of landing on the moon, and then of course watching on TV as men walked on the moon. I remember looking up at the moon, so it's always been a big. Looking up at the moon when we knew that there were men up there. It was kind of cool to look at the moon, saying, "Gosh, there are people there right now." And so when the space shuttle blew up, I remember that I was very much into it, and the technology had changed for the consumer so that we all had what we called VHS recorders. Do you remember those things?
Yeah.
So you could record what was on TV with a videotape. I'm sure you remember this. And the videotape had a maximum, I think, of 2 hours time on it. Mm-hmm. And so it was very much something I did. I know it's a dorky, geeky thing to do, but I did it all the time. Every single launch, I would have the TV tuned into the launch, and I would record it on the video. Mm-hmm. I worked the night shift at that time, and I got home, and I wanted to watch it, but I was so sleepy. So I got home probably 8 in the morning or something like that. Mm-hmm. I guess the launch was at 11:38, and I think it was delayed. So in other words, I think it was originally earlier, But because of the freezing temperatures or whatever it was, they kept delaying it. I think 25 delays, right? Is what they said?
Yes.
So I said, well, I'm just going to bed. And so I went to sleep. And then I was married at the time, and my wife called, and she said, are you watching the news? And I had not been, and she told me that the space shuttle blew up. Now, you were out in the field, right? You actually worked in that industry. It's kind of in a peripheral. You worked with the antenna company, right?
Yeah.
Here in Silver Spring
because
Shores?
they had supplied the receivers. You know, they had a contract with Lockheed and NASA and everything about that.
And what was the company called?
Microdyne.
Yeah. So your guys, your whole company had a vested interest, more so than I would have. I mean, I worked for the state at the time.
And they had a huge screen TV. I mean, it was before huge screen TVs were
Really?
in households and stuff. Yeah, they had it right there.
So
in
you
the
watched
plant.
it on TV or outside? Did you go outside?
After it exploded, because we didn't know what went on, and we saw it.
Oh.
And then we went outside, and it was a clear day. It was really bright,
Yeah.
and you could see all the smoke and everything coming from the Cape. It was so sad. It was like nobody knew what to say.
So you saw the explosion on TV. You probably heard that audio that I just played or something similar, and then went outside after you knew that it exploded.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, because
wow.
some people were, because we go back and forth, between the door and between the room, but it was such a distance. We wanted to see that epic flight on TV, and then we went outside after that, and it was awful seeing all that smoke on such a beautifully clear day. It was nobody knew what to say.
It was 11:38 a.m., January 28th, 1986. 30 years ago today, the Space Shuttle Challenger lifted off from Cape Canaveral. Krista McAuliffe was on her way to becoming the first ordinary U.S. civilian to travel into space. She was 37 years old at the time. She was a high school social studies teacher from New Hampshire. She was on that space shuttle because she won a competition that earned her a place to be among the 7-member crew. She trained with the astronauts. She was all smiles, and my gosh, we fell in love with that lady. She underwent months of shuttle training. Beginning January 23rd, she was forced to wait 6 days as the Challenger's launch countdown was repeatedly delayed because of weather and technical problems. Finally, the Challenger lifted off. 73 seconds later, hundreds of people on the ground, including Krista McAuliffe's family, stared in disbelief at the shuttle as it exploded in a forking plume of smoke and fire that made the headlines immediately. Millions of people were watching it on TV. There were no survivors. I can remember thinking, is there any hope? Like, did they have some kind of an escape plan where they could have maybe landed in the ocean?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll find them. Do you remember that?
I do. And there was no internet back then, of course. You had to depend on the networks. And,
Yeah.
We were all hoping, well, it just something happened and they lost their wings and they're going in the ocean and they'll all come back. And they never came back.
The Space Shuttle program started in 1976. That's hard to believe, isn't it? That's when NASA unveiled the first reusable manned spacecraft called the Enterprise. 5 years later, space flights of the shuttle began when Columbia traveled into space on the first space shuttle mission. It was a 54-hour mission. It was launched by 2 solid rocket boosters and an eternal tank. And of course, we all know Columbia had a similar fate later on in its life.
Yes, Texas.
The aircraft-like shuttle entered into orbit around the Earth. When the mission was completed, the shuttle fired engines to reduce speed, and after descending through the atmosphere, landed like a glider. Of course, we all remember those landings. Early shuttles took satellite equipment into space and carried out various scientific experiments. The Challenger was the first major shuttle accident. In the aftermath of that explosion, President Ronald Reagan appointed a special commission to determine what went wrong with the Challenger.
Yep.
And to develop future corrective measures. The Presidential Commission was headed by former Secretary of State William Rogers and included former astronaut Neil Armstrong and former test pilot Chuck Yeager. We'll take a little break and we'll do a little bit more on the Challenger Memorial. They're having a ceremony this morning at Arlington Cemetery in Virginia and over in the Cape Canaveral. The son of Krista McAuliffe is over there, by the way. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, Thursday, a cloudy day with showers and thunderstorms crossing the area, some with flooding downpours. It'll dry out late today, the high 66 to 70. Cloudy early Thursday night, then some clearing late and noticeably cooler with lows in the 40s to near 50. Friday, mostly sunny, high 64 to 68. And on Saturday, partly sunny, high 66 to 70. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
We're saving thousands with Robert Palmer.
So rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around. If you're trying to get a mortgage, if you're trying to get the best credit card, if you're looking at student loans, cell phone bills, you name it, rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around.
That's rule number one, just one more vital part of fighting back to stop being a financial zombie. Yes, you can take the mystery out of the complicated world of finances. Take charge when it comes to your money. Listen in on The Source, 96.3 FM and 1370 AM, Saturdays at 12:05.
Greetings, good citizens. Join me, King Arthur, at the 30th Annual Hogtown Medieval Fair, January 30 and 31st and February 5th through 7th at the Alachua County Fairgrounds. Join the colorful cast of characters on the streets of Hogtown, where you'll find medieval merriment for the whole family. Cheer on royal knights as they joust for their ladies' honor. Watch a living chess match or enjoy performances by gypsy dancers and magicians. Then wander through the marketplace where hundreds of artisans sell their medieval wares. Come one, come all to the Hogtown Medieval Fair.
Saturday, February 13th is set aside for Kid Genius, an event that you must be 21 and older to attend. Love to gamble? That's what we're doing because Kid Genius helps the many families with kids of special needs. www.kidgeniusincorporated.org is where all the information you need is found, and Comic-Con-style costumes are the choice of the evening from 7 to 11 p.m. CrossFit Iron League in downtown Ocala is the location for all this madness and fun. Help Kid Genius help others. www.kidgeniusincorporated.org.
If you want to get Kid Genius, I'll be there.
Hey Ocala, this is Kelly Hart, Executive Editor of Ocala Magazine. Did you know last year Ocala Magazine won more awards in excellence than any other publication in Florida? And this year, Ocala Magazine was named Best Consumer Magazine in the state. Now you can join me every Friday at 10 a.m. on Ocala Magazine Radio, where we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life, right here on The Source. Ocala Magazine thanks you for making us number one. And remember, there is only
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. We're remembering the Challenger disaster of 1986. 30 years ago today, the Space Shuttle Challenger lifted off just before noon. It was a very, very cold day, and if you were alive and old enough to remember, then I'm sure you have no problem remembering where you were when that happened. That was one of those days that you will never forget. The investigation, by the way, determined that the explosion was caused by the failure of an O-ring seal in one of the two solid fuel rockets. Can you imagine something as simple? They have to check every little thing. The elastic O-ring did not respond as expected because of the cold temperature at launch time, which began a chain of events that resulted in the massive explosion. I seem to remember that there were people warning not to lift off in that cold temperature. Do you remember that, Robin? And then, of course, we stopped saying that because it was appearing that we were blaming somebody. And I suppose we were, but
yeah, I heard that.
Do you remember that?
I do.
The elastic O-ring didn't respond. As a result of the explosion, NASA did not send astronauts into space for more than 2 years, as it redesigned a number of features on the space shuttle. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Hey, Hugh.
See, there were several engineers at the time that said that because of the cold temperatures, there would be a very large chance for a failure of the O-rings, and they tried their hardest to postpone the flight, but it never was. But that all came out later in the investigations, but there were several top engineers that were very much against that craft taking off.
Yeah, I seem to remember that too. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I was up in Wisconsin at the time. I was on my stationary bicycle exercising. It was about 10:30 up there on Central Standard Time, and I had the TV on it, which I usually do when I exercise. And I was watching, and bang, just like that. I stopped the bike and I got off, and I almost put my nose on the TV screen because I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah,
and right away I thought that thing blew up. I said, "There's no way and you're kind of hoping that maybe like the capsule that they were in would come down with a parachute or something.
Right,
That never
right.
happened, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever found any remains of the people on board or not.
I don't think so. I don't remember hearing about them finding remains. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it too. Well, except for the stationary bicycle part. I remember I remember it the same way, Hugh.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, it was a lesson to be learned, and thank God for all the safe travels we had after that, except for 13. But that was quite a wonderful situation, too, how they returned, and they could have been lost in space forever, but that was probably one of the most exciting flights of all of them.
Oh, the Apollo.
Apollo.
Yeah.
Apollo. Thank you, Hugh.
Okay.
2.5 years later, September 1988, the space shuttle flights resumed with the successful launching of the Discovery. Since then, of course, the space shuttle has carried out numerous important missions, such as the repair and maintenance of the Hubble Space Telescope and the construction of the International Space Station, which is the focus of the space program these days. On February 1st, 2003, the second space shuttle disaster happened. So about this same time of year, this was when the Columbia disintegrated upon reentry of the Earth's atmosphere. You remember that? When I was listening to WOCA at that time, Tim Schmitz, not Tom Schmitz, Tim Schmitz was working, Schmidt without the Z, I'm sorry. Tim was working the board and on the air that Saturday morning, I believe it was, or Sunday morning. All aboard the Columbia were killed. Despite fears that the problems that downed Columbia had not been satisfactorily addressed, space shuttle flights resumed on July 26, 2005, so another 2 years passed, when Discovery was again put into orbit, so the Columbia and the Challenger. And so today, the space agency, do I have the whole thing here, is paying tribute to the astronauts who lost their lives in the Challenger and the Columbia, as well as other NASA colleagues. And I believe they're also looking at the ones who lost their lives in Apollo
13.
Apollo 1.
Apollo 1.
Apollo 13, they didn't die, right?
No, that's right. They didn't
They
die.
made it back successful. But Apollo 1, that's the one where the fire, they weren't even in space. They were here. They were training.
Right.
And that's when they decided to not have pure oxygen, but instead have a mixture of oxygen and, well, similar to air.
Right.
Oxygen and nitrogen, etc. Because oxygen was just too explosive in the 3 astronauts who died there. If you ever get a chance to go to the Cape Canaveral, it is really educational.
It is. It's absolutely wonderful, the Kennedy Space Center, and you can see some of the rockets that went up, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Right.
And with that disaster of the Challenger, it helped for the airlines too.
In what
for
way?
the de-icing of the wings and things. They improve their equipment to
is that
de-ice
right?
the wings.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, before they take off now from the airport.
Okay, I have some more news. Ready?
Okay.
You'll understand the music in a second. What is that music from? Do you know?
Oh, X-Files.
X-Files.
X-Files. I like that.
The CIA released a batch of X-Files. I am not making this up.
Really?
The CIA released a big batch of files from its decades-long project to investigate reports of UFOs.
Wow.
And has now selected 10 of those files that it thinks believers and skeptics alike will find interesting.
Oh, nice.
The CIA says we got 10 of them out of the hundreds, thousands, whatever they have that we think you will like. So
Wow. Isn't that cool?
If you're a UFO person, let me give you some information. There's a web page titled "Take a Peek into Our X-Files."
Wow. Cool.
I'm gonna look it up.
I know.
On that page, "Take a Peek into Our X-Files," the CIA shares 5 files. I thought they had 10. 5 files that it believes would intrigue the show's agent Fox Mulder, who would want to use them to persuade others to the existence of extraterrestrial activity. This is from the CIA, Robin.
Yeah, that's the believable guys. This is great. It's not just the TV version.
Is Doug listening?
He probably is. He's probably got
Doug knows all about
the pulse
UFOs.
of everything on his UFOs.
Let's see. Agent Dana Scully, another character. Now, this is for real, though, but they're just using those names.
Scully.
We also pulled 5 documents we think his skeptical partner, Agent Dana Scully, could use to prove there is scientific explanations for UFO sightings. So of the 10, 5 of them look like UFOs, and 5 of them look like explained phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's interesting. The dates on the documents range from 1949 through 1953, although the project lasted into the 1990s. Some of the documents never find an explanation for the reported UFO sightings, though none of them ever offer definitive proof of travelers from other planets visiting Earth, and that's from NBC News.
Yeah, it's an off-the-wall type of thing.
I'm not getting that from the ufology.com or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Take a peek into our X-Files. Let me see if I can find this website. Take a peek into our X-Files. Central Intelligence Agency. Yeah, sure is. It's the CIA.gov.
Wow, that's cool.
Hold on. Let me look at this a second.
That's cool.
The CIA declassified hundreds of documents in 1978, detailing the agency's investigations into UFOs. Okay, so where's the 10? The 5 CIA documents Mulder would love to get his hands on are titled. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Flying saucers reported over East Germany, 1952. The minutes of the branch chief's meeting of UFOs on August 11th, 1952. It's a PDF you can download and read. Flying saucers were reported over Spain and North Africa in 1952. We must have had a lot of flying saucers in 1952.
I guess so.
The Survey of Flying Saucer Reports, August 1st, 1952. They're all from 1952.
They liked Elvis. What can I say?
Flying saucers reported over Belgian Congo uranium mines, also 1952. They say those 5 documents right there, you can download all 5 of them as PDFs and share them with your UFO-loving friends. I'm telling you, these 5 are evidence that there may be something to this.
That's
now,
cool.
the others that say there is a scientific evidence that has nothing to do with flying saucers, that it's probably a weather balloon or something. On the other document, Scientific Advisory Panel on Unidentified Flying Objects, January 1953. The Office Memorandum on Flying Saucer. Oh, an Office Memorandum.
Well, that's okay. That's like some real
let me read this.
person.
That was March 1949.
That sounds cool.
All right, let me see what that one says. I'm just gonna look at. Do I have to actually download it? It's an actual print. Look at this. A rapid perusal of your documents leaves one confused and inclined to.
My son's gonna love this.
How do you say this?
He loves that stuff.
Supinedness. Supinidus. I don't know.
Sounds good.
The following considerations seem not to have been included in your survey. No suggestion is noted that there is possibly that many of the objects may be free meteorological sounding balloons. All right.
Wow.
Let me go to one of the other ones.
That is cool.
Hold on. Do I have time?
Yes, you do. Got 2 minutes. You're good. My son is going to love this.
All right, here we go. You can download these documents. This is from Berlin in July of 1952. Furnished with the sworn testimony of an eyewitness, Oscar Link, a 46-year-old German and former mayor of Gleichenhausen, West Berlin, intelligence officers have begun investigating a most unusual flying saucer story. According to a historian, object resembling a huge flying pen and having a diameter of about 15 meters landed in a forest clearing in a Soviet zone of Germany.
Wow. Wow.
In the Soviet zone, Robin.
The Soviet zone, yeah.
Link recently escaped from the Soviet zone along with his wife and 6 children. Link and his 11-year-old daughter, Gabriella, made the following sworn statement last week before a judge. Quote, while I was returning to my home with Gabriella, a tire of my motorcycle blew out near the town of Eiselbach, something like that. While we were walking along toward Eiselbach, Gabriella pointed out something which lay at a distance of about 140 meters away from us. Since it was twilight, I thought she was pointing at a young deer. I left my motorcycle near a tree and walked toward a spot which Gabriella had pointed out. When, however, I reached the spot about 55 meters from the object, I realized that my first impression had been wrong. What I had been ferried to, what I had seen, were two men who were now about 40 meters away from me. They seemed to be dressed in some shiny metallic clothing.
Wow.
This is WOCA Ocala. I'm getting spooked. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Some of Donald Trump's fellow White House contenders welcoming his decision not to take part in tonight's GOP debate on Fox News.
This is their last chance, in some cases, to make a final push before Monday night's caucuses. There still will be 7 people on that stage at 9 o'clock tonight. Cruz and Rubio will be front and center, flanked alongside Carson and Bush, Christie and Kasich, and Rand Paul returns to the 9 o'clock debate as well. Before them, setting the stage is Fiorina Huckabee and Santorum at 7 o'clock. Jim Gilmore joins the stage with them.
Blake Berman with the Fox Business Network. The debate can be heard on many of these Fox radio stations. A sign of a stable job market in the latest jobs reading. Claims for first-time unemployment last week falling from a 6-month high to 278,000. Durable goods orders plunging 5.1% for December. Fox News, we report, you decide.
All right, let's open up there, Dave. Yes, you have the worst cavity I've ever seen before.
Oh, that explains this horrible pain.
Okay, then, have a good day.
Well, aren't you gonna fix it?
Oh, no, I'm not a dentist, just a dental monitor.
Monitor?
I don't fix cavities, just let you know when you have them. Like I said, it's a pretty big hole.
Why monitor a problem if you don't fix it? That's why LifeLock does more than free credit monitoring to protect you from identity theft. We not only use proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a range of identity threats. If you have a problem, we have a US-based team of specialists who'll fix it. After all, plaque attacks are nothing compared to the identity theft that 1 in 4 people experienced last year. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But with LifeLock, protecting your identity is pretty painless. Your molars are a different story. Membership starts at $9.99 a month. Sign up now and get 10% off. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code NEWS.
Today in Florida Ag News from a Southeast AgNet, Zippy Duvall, who was recently elected to lead the American Farm Bureau Federation, is a person who truly believes in getting more young people involved in agriculture.
YF&R is a great program just like it is. But what I heard from YF&R people across the country, and I've heard that for a long time, is, once I get to that 35-year age and there's no contest and there's no committees for me, what do you do for me? How do you keep me included? I want to be part of this. And we're going to encourage counties to make an investment in the youth in this country to start developing leadership. We're going to encourage states to do that. That is the place I most enjoy talking, is with young people, because I love to encourage them. This is a great industry. What a way to raise your family and make a living. There's no better place in the world than to have the opportunity to make your living and raise your family than on the land and with the animals. And we want to make sure that we develop the programs or maintain the programs to encourage that.
The Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIP, is a continuous sign-up program allowing landowners or operators to apply for financial and technical assistance for many types of conservation practices. And USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service in Florida has made it easy to get more details. Just log on to www.fl.nrcs.usda.gov. You'll find state resource concerns along with links to more detailed information on the overall EQIP program. Or you can simply stop by your local USDA NRCS office.
Being prepared for emergencies is essential, especially in Florida. In a disaster, when power is out for days, a propane whole house generator allows you to weather the storm with all your appliances and electronics. For information about propane home appliances, including whole house generators, visit propanefl.com. Propane gas. Exceptional energy. Enjoy its comforts every day. Count on it during emergencies. A message from the Florida Propane Gas Safety, Education, and Research Council.
Brandon Wiseman, Southeast AgNet.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352-861-7484. Hey, you've earned it. Call today.
Check this out. New shows? Check. Check. Some new talent? Check. The same great sports talk? I'm seeing it right now. Wrong. Wrong again? Wrong.